Welcome to a D-Link webinar on this fine Wednesday. We're here today to get back to more of the brass tacks and more of what you would kind of associate with D-Link after our departure last session when we talked about the new range of peripherals and accessories that we've got. We're here today to talk about mainly routers, but more in generally about our small business networking solutions. I'm here today, and just to add a little bit of spice to the webinar, I've actually included a slide with our pictures on, so that you can see us here in the flesh. So I'm here with Phil, as I always am. Hi. And Mark's here again.
Hello.
And what I thought I'd put in this time is, because when you get a copy of this webinar after the session, our LinkedIn tags are on there just as a way that you can communicate with us a little bit easier. If you need to ask each individual a question, because we're all experts in our own way. Phil's great with products. I'm the marketing man, and Mark is your contact to go to for sales there. So, as I introduced, we're here to talk about small business networks today, introducing our new range of business routers, talk about some new multi-gig switches we've got, which have small business in mind when they were built, and our new access point, which is fully compatible with both routers there. So, one of the worst nightmares for business is your internet going down. So the example on here is talking about how 10 minutes before your whole team is ready, waiting for you, but your network lags, your voice is cut out, your files won't load, and the client ends up getting frustrated, or your HQ ends up getting frustrated because you just don't have the bandwidth available because you're using 10-year-old equipment, or you're using products that are built for a consumer grade market space when your company has grown. If any of that sounds familiar, then D-Link's new range of small business and network products are here for you, and they're built with around the key offerings for a small business to take care of any concerns and issues you've got, such as VPN support, firewalls, the multi-WAN connectivity, up to 2.5 gigabit speed, which is fantastic with so many connections exceeding gigabit nowadays, integrated AP management alongside traffic optimization with an easy management platform. And for small businesses, with small businesses in mind, these products were built for companies with limited IT budgets, so they're easily managed without having a full IT team. Downtime, as the statistic says on here, 80% of small businesses face cyber threats or downtime annually, costing thousands in losses. So our products are built to withstand and go up against a lot of that. And as I stated earlier, going from consumer to business can often be costly, but as these are built with a limited IT budget in mind, scaling from 15 to 50 users with these products means that you wouldn't need significant investments. So if I'll hand over, Phil, if you want to jump in and talk about the DVR 700.
Yeah, so D-Link has been, traditionally for a long time very strong in the SMB market when it comes to providing, robust, very sturdy smart switches, online switches, and also a range of access points. But what we're trying to do here with the new range of DVR products is to actually combine some of the key functionalities that we know our customers really need when it comes to switches, access points, power over Ethernet, into these all-in-one devices that can basically allow small business to very quickly and easily set up a network that can support the growing demands of small businesses when it comes to wired networking, wireless networking, PoEs for surveillance, as well as some a VPN security router that allows you to protect your network from malicious traffic in the internet. To start here, we have a couple of business routers, the DBR700 and also the DBR600P. Let's start with the slightly higher end one. So the main difference between the two is that the DBR700 is designed so that it gives you the ability to create a slightly more extensive network by connecting a range of our managed switches that you can use to extend the wired network as well as add PoE connectivity. We'll show some of those switches a bit later on.
Yeah.
But this particular switch, all the ports are 2.5 gig capable. As Alan mentioned earlier, this particular device does support multiple WANs over three of the optional WANs that is available. So 2 of them are Ethernet and 1 of them is SFP. On top of that, the fiber port is also configurable to be either WAN or LAN depending on your usage, to give you that extra flexibility when it comes to network designs. The device, aside from being quite a powerful VPN router, it supports central management up to 15 DBR X3000 AP access points. And when they are managed through this device, you can create a seamless mesh network. And even with 15 access points, it covers a fair.
Oh, that's going to be a fairly large office, isn't it?
Yeah.
15 access points.
Yeah, it's a good coverage. It's designed for 50 access points for a smaller business that's looking to give a good, strong Wi-Fi connection, but do not need all the more higher end business functionality.
Yeah,
or
and it lends
flexibility in terms of numbers.
Yeah, it lends itself into the scalability, because if you want to start out with one access point, adding another access point into the mesh network is as easy as setting up through the UI system. So when we talk about scalability, that's what we're talking about with these. And 15 access points, that's going to be a fairly large office space. So you are covered as you grow by this sort of product. So that's this DBR 700. If it's not obvious, DBR D-Link business router. And so now we'll talk about the 600p, the slightly lower model, but DBR 600p, and the P stands for Power over Ethernet.
So let me just jump straight back in. The idea behind this is to actually give an even easier entry point into creating a professional or enterprise-like network for your business. Integrated within the device is a business router that has all the functionalities mentioned in the previous product, but also this one has integrated Power over Ethernet support on the Ethernet ports. I think you can see on screen 123 watts of PoE power. So that's more than sufficient to connect and power 6 of those DBR access points. And this device supports up to 10 DBR X3000 AP access points, as opposed to 15 in the previous one. It's got a slightly less higher end VPN router built in inside, but what it does give you additional compared to the previous one is that the ability to connect a 4G, 5G USB dongle as a secondary WAN. So in this one, again, you have 3 different WAN options that you can use 2 of them to provide load balancing and failover functionality, so that if one of the connections go down, it will fail over to the other one to ensure your business stays connected and online.
That's so good for businesses at the moment, especially those with phones, VoIP phones, and those kind of stuff. If they're connected to this product, you can still remain connected if your broadband line goes down with a 4G dongle or 5G dongle or a similar sort of device. Use the failover on this router to just have it switch over between the two if one goes down.
I mean, if you can just imagine in a way, if you start, because these devices are very, very affordable. We're talking about sub £200 for an integrated VPN security router, PoE switch, wireless controller, all in one device. And if you were to start in a small office, this device will allow you to power, a couple of access points, 2-3 surveillance cameras, as well as 2 or 3 VoIP phones. And as your business grows, you may decide to use the device to purely as a wireless controller, and then maybe add a PoE switch to power your growing office.
Now you're spoiling the later slides that are to come, Phil, where we go through the examples. But that's great stuff. You can see the kind of thing that you can connect to on the screen there. So servers, NAS drives, cameras, access points, all those sort of things can power through here. And as Phil stated, this can just play the modem part. And then be connected to and further around a bigger network by installing several layers of switches. We'll show some examples as we move through. Have you got anything on this one, Mark? Or
no, we can move on.
Access point time then. So as we were talking about the DBR X3000 AP. AP obviously stands for access point, because I'm the king of obvious today, so I'm going to be pointing all of this sort of stuff out. This is the first access point that will be compatible with this range. There will be a Wi-Fi 7 access point to add in at a slightly later date. So anybody who wants to enjoy the latest standard of Wi-Fi, they will be taken care of in the near future. But at the moment, Wi-Fi 6 is very much current generation and will provide ample speed with its 3000 megahertz there. So taking full advantage of the 2.5 gigabits LAN and WAN inputs. And then obviously the advantage of Wi-Fi 6 is to have that very clean 160 megahertz channel available. And as Phil mentioned as well, all powered by PoE. So just to go back, 15 connections to the DBR 700. So you can have 15 of these access points in a mesh network with the DBR 700, or with the DBR 600p, you can have 10 connections, but the DBR 600p has the advantage of being able to provide the power to several of those units. So.
And needless to say, it supports the latest WPA3 security on these devices. So
indeed,
both enterprise and also personal versions of WPA3, again, just to allow you to secure a network.
Yeah. Wi-Fi 6 is still great.
Yeah, Wi-Fi 6 is a good stable technology. I mean, customers that are looking for Wi-Fi 7 and anything faster, the question always is their network up for it, or
yes,
is the underlying bonnet speed essentially quick enough for it, or is demand there? Wi-Fi 6 will be a good technology for many of years to come, and the types of customers, or the types of customers we foresee using Wi-Fi 6 or this type of products, will probably not require Wi-Fi 7 for a while. So this will be, as Alan said, and Alan and Phil said, it will give you a good throughput, give you good overall speed, and it will give you good performance for a small business, more than what you need.
And that lays back into that second or third slide that we talked about with the problems facing small business. And we kind of understand that, and that's why we launched with the Wi-Fi 6 access point, to give people the probably the better value. But a lot of companies out there, if you've got very, very intensive bandwidth requirements, would be willing to wait for that Wi-Fi 7 just to make sure that they get the latest speeds, throughputs, and obviously the 320 megahertz channel option on that, as well as MLO and all of the other bits that we can talk about with Wi-Fi 7, but we'll do that at a later date.
Just one last thing to add on this before these guys try to kick me on. So the Wi-Fi management through the routers mentioned in the previous slides, it does give you the ability to configure and monitor these devices essentially through a single interface. Not only that, it does give you the ability to create things like capture portal for for allowing different types of access to the device through either click-through, radius, or internal databases, as well as if you wanted to do things like AP firmware. management and also VLAN tagging. So if because the devices do the DVR routers do support creation of different VLANs, and you can then implement that through to the access points to segment your traffic, as well as some ability to see block wireless clients and see client status and statistics.
Sort of things like captive portal we've previously talked about when we talked about Nucleus and our other products like that. So great for a small business like a cafe, where perhaps they want to only restrict internet access to actual paying customers, as opposed to anybody who comes along. So you can log in, and that cafe can take your details, and then they can send you a 50% off voucher for your second latte.
All that sort of stuff to help promote their own brands.
Yeah, we love the captive portal. But yeah, there is a slide on that coming up as well, Phil. So you've jumped the gun again. Small business solution. I mean, this is just a quick summary slide, so we're not going to look at these in any sort of depth, because, as I say, we've got a slide on each of these coming up. So it's just a little bit more detail in and around each of these sort of offerings that we've got. We've talked a little bit about WANs, the one-stop management, smart performance operation, but we'll talk about each of these in a little bit more depth now. It was just a nice slide, so I put this one in as a quick summary. So the first 2 points in and around robust security. So securing your connection, I mean, that was the very first point that we were talking about, and it's one of the highest things that has to be priority for businesses now. We were talking about cyber attacks, and we were talking about downtime. And two of the ways that you can do that are via VPNs and firewalls. So the VPN is built into the router, and what that's very useful for is obviously allowing your people who are, let's say, out and about in a coffee shop, working from home, as a lot of people are post COVID nowadays. Using that VPN to get back into your business network is so important nowadays. Using that secure tunnel, especially if you're at a coffee shop, Wi-Fi, but even and when you're at home, you've got the children at home, they're browsing all sorts of websites on the same network as you're working from. And then firewalls. So there are a few bits with regards to firewalls, but mainly about blocking access and threats to your network. So Phil, do you want to add a little bit on the
just on the VPN
security?
side? On the VPN side, the devices themselves do support both client and also server. So in what Alan mentioned earlier is that if in a server, in a VPN server mode, it allows you to connect back into your network, your office network in a very secure manner, as if you were in a network. But as your business grows, it is possible to then use maybe existing device or add another device to create a tunnel between two locations if need be, so that they act as if they were in the same network. So that definitely gives you additional flexibility. And VPN, there's various different types of VPN supported: IPsec, L2TP, PPTP, and also WireGuard. Future on, we will also support OpenVPN as well. The firewall security, I think the firewall throughput is fairly high on both of them, so they should be able to handle even some of the faster internet speeds that is already available quite affordably for businesses.
Yep. Multi-WAN.
You forgot to change the title.
Oh gosh, I apologise. I apologise. We have a version of this that's online, and we have a version that's offline. And yeah, this is the offline version. That should not say virtual private network in the presentations. I'm sorry, I've missed that. But I can indeed assure you that this is the multi-WAN slide. Phil touched on these earlier. I'm going to quickly glaze over that. Phil touched on these earlier when we were talking about the sort of 2/3 multi-WANs we have on the DBR 700p, and then the 2 multi-WAN options that we have with the 600p. So it's I mean, these are kind of vital for the small businesses, as we were talking about with the DBR 600p, that ability to plug in the storage dongle for your LAN, for your failover solution, so that we will switch from broadband to the 4G dongle if that goes down. Then on top of that, with the multiple WAN ports, you'll stay connected even if that connection goes down. So these products are built with all of this stuff in mind, even if the slide does say virtual private network on there.
I'm sorry, Adam.
No, it's my fault. This is the problem with working with a stuff on shared document online, and then having an offline version as well. So yeah, my bad.
Blame the cloud.
Yeah, I always do. I always blame the cloud.
No. Before Mark, let me say another couple of words on this. I think what's great about this is that, again, just going back to the flexibility of the different WAN options available on both the DBR 700 and 600p. You know, nowadays the unlimited 5G connections are actually very affordable now compared to even a few years ago. So
pay-as-you-go options.
Even having a secondary internet connection to enable this.
So it's for example in 600p, if you have a normal fixed line connection, it doesn't cost a lot of money to add a additional 5G connection that does both, not just failover but also load balancing to aggregate those two speeds to give you a higher pipe as such for the internet. And with the case of the DBR 700p, you're looking at supposing if you have sorry, it's DBR 700. Thank you, Adam. It's possible to have a fiber to the premise connection on the internet through the SFP port. But at the same time, maybe to have a slightly cheaper copper line that you can use as a backup on the Ethernet port as a WAN option.
Yeah, load balance seems to be one of those things that's moved into a business sort of functionality. Whereas when I first joined D-Link, all of our consumer products had load balancing on them as well, which I thought was amazing. But now you seem to, and also even with regards to USB slots, they seem to be kind of reserved now for business products. As we said about this with the USB slot on this router, obviously you can plug your 4G, 5G dongle in there, but you can also connect up an SSD drive or something similar. No plugs for our new SSD cases as a storage option. So right, easy management. So Phil's already mentioned this, so we're going to go to Mark.
Essentially the UI on the DBR 600 and 700 is designed to make it life easy. For those that are looking to add Wi-Fi or a Wi-Fi network to their installation or to their premise, the web management or the web UI is designed to be very, very easy, very graphical, pretty much turning on and off options and making life just simple. So you can see the status of the access points, turn them off, set scheduling, all that sort of stuff to do with it.
Yeah, we put a screenshot in there of how simple this is, because these products are designed so that you don't need an IT degree or an IT manager. Perfectly intuitive web interface, the kind of stuff that you would have worked with previously. So yeah, a very simple management tool there for anybody to use. You can get down into the weeds with certain levels of settings, all that kind of stuff, but it's really not necessary to get the most out of your network there. You can see there's a button that just says enable mesh, which does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, I think even compare, you know, if we go way back to where these, switches need to be configured through since things like command line interfaces, when, as it evolved and we have graphical interfaces, we've got to a stage where these devices, the user interface is optimized so that it is more intuitive than even.
So it's like to make it more reachable for everybody, for the everyday, the average person to be able to pick up a couple of the products here and there, be able to mesh a Wi-Fi network together, and to give them guest access and schedule when the Wi-Fi network's on.
Firmware updates for 2 a.m. when nobody's working, unless you're.
A graphical UI also saves you time. I mean, who's got time 100%. To learn CLI or some of the more boring things in life?
He says on a networking webinar. DMS multi-gig switches. So as we were talking about 2.5 gigabit connections, 2.5 gigabit routers, 2.5 gigabit WANs, you've got to have 2.5 gigabit in your switch. Surely.
Yeah, it's just to minimize or make sure there's no bottlenecks within your network.
Yeah, it's to open up the throughput. It's I mean, these small business switches, they're unmanaged devices, meaning that they're plug and play. What these are designed to do is just speed up that connection between device A and device B, and make sure that there's no bottlenecks, as Phil mentioned. Technology is kind of useful if you're looking at Wi-Fi 6 going into Wi-Fi 7 for the near future, but also with the way data, where applications and data is going at the minute, files and applications are getting much larger than what they were 10, 15 years ago. It is a consideration to upgrade your network, upgrade your small business network to a multi-gigabit platform to enable the speed, the raw speed.
It just allows you to take full advantage of the full speed, as Mark says. So you've got the 8 to 2.5 gig option, the 16 port or the 24 port if you've got a slightly bigger network there to build. The 8 port option has PoE built in. So again, if you go for the 700 and you connect it up to the DMS 108, you can add PoE into your network later on. Really built with Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 in mind there. So these would be a great solution for most offices, and we've got some pre-built examples of a few options of how to build the network in the next slide or two. Why upgrade to multi-gig? So we've got some examples on there. IGMP snooping basically allows you to multicast and faster streaming of video. Eco-friendly and cost savings. So D-Link switches are built with energy use in mind. So any ports that aren't being used cut off when they're not enabled. And we also have a smart fan built in, which will adapt to the situations and only come on when it's needed. Mark was talking about 2.5 gigabit speeds there. So with the accompanying low latency, if you've got a 2.5 gigabit router and you're connecting up to a gigabit switch, you will throttle the speed down. And the advantage of 2.5 gigabit Ethernet as well is that you don't need to change your existing cables. You can use your 5E or your Cat6 cables, whichever ones you have in place. And built-in quality of service. One of our favorite little facilities that you have on switches there.
Features,
so
you mean?
features, not facilities. Yeah, features on our switches that allows you to prioritize that traffic. So, for instance, if you are a call center using VoIP phones, you can make sure that all of the traffic for your VoIP phones are in the fast lane, whereas all internet access for Facebook and the time wasting social media sites is put into the slow lane. So
just to add a bit, most wherever we can, we design our products to be fairness, because if can be, devices being fairness will obviously be completely silent, and they tend to have a much higher MTBF because there's no mechanical parts. But in the case of DMS 1024, the 24-port multi-gigabit switch, as Alan said, there is a couple of smart fans in there that that will power down when not necessary. And all the switches they tend to all support energy efficient Ethernet AO2.11, AO2.3 AZ. So that does encompass a bunch of things like port power downs, the cable length detections, and activities to save power wherever possible.
All fitting in nicely with D and green, as we always try to. Competition time. So as we said, when I registered for this webinar, we have a competition running for anybody who's listening in. If they want to win one of our brand new DUF 901s, so that's it. It's a docking station, USB 4 super speed, one of the first USB 4 docking stations that D-Link is producing. You can see there 10 gigabit USBs on the front, a couple of display ports, all sorts of super power coming out of this great device, as well as a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, which I think has been the sort of topic and theme of the day. So all of that I'm going to need you to do, if you want to be entered into the draw for this, is to go into your chat box right now and tell me which model of the business router that we were talking about previously has PoE added. Just to make it easier for everyone, it was not the DBR 700. So if anybody fancies a chance to win one of these DUF 901s, you can go into the chat and leave the answer to the question. Right, moving on. Connection diagrams. As I was saying, trying to get Phil not to spoil too much in and around the connection diagrams that we've got coming up. But here's a quick example of how you would use one of the DBRs. So the example in this place, and we don't want to confuse anybody, because you could have either business router in place on here, either one of them would work. But with regards to the power symbol is for the DBR 600p only, because we were talking about this when we're going through this, so we don't want to confuse anybody. Obviously, you can power the IP cameras or the access points with the PoE injectors yourself, but the power on this would be for the 600p. With the 700p, they would have to have their own source there. So, Mark, do you want to go through this one quite quickly for the guys out there?
Yeah, so the DBR router sits in the middle. It connects to the WANs, so the internet connections come on the outside. You can have the dual WANs going into the business routers, as we've mentioned previous. That will be, your internet connection from your HQ or from wherever you are. You can also, with the DBR 600, use a 4G and 4G dongle.
Yep.
So that gives you an alternative. So if your fixed line connections go down, you plug a dongle, one of our dongles into the device, and enable the 4G side. And then with the ports on the DVR router on there, you can connect that to a series of machines. So you've got your laptops, your PCs, or you've got your server. And then, as Alan mentioned, you can either power it with a PoE, the PoE model, the 600p, and that can power things like IP cameras or the DVR 3000 X3000 access points to give your Wi-Fi clients. It's very simple. But pretty simple network topology. But if there is questions, I mean, feel free to reach out. We're quite happy to go through and to discuss further with you guys.
Yep. And just to note on there, underneath the internet connection there is a series of little clip art type images there. That's basically the content filtering. So we've got Trojans, viruses, the ability to block social sites, adult sites, and gambling, etc. That is coming soon. That will be part of the phase 2 release. So content filtering,
application filters.
Yeah, is coming soon in a sort of phase 2 once the firmware/software gets upgraded for these devices. But we thought it was important to leave it in because it's important for a lot of businesses. So here's a slightly larger example which incorporates an unmanaged switch. So one of our DMS 1016s, because in this case the PC connection, the printer connection, server connections don't need power connected to them. As Mark talked about, and there in this version we've got the one connection coming in, and then we've got the to the business router. So you've just got an extra layer in this, so it's just a slightly more complicated model than the last one, which kind of switches between the two. So you've still got the access points and cameras all connected with the clients connected to those, but then you've got a separate switch which is managing the desktop PCs, the printers and the servers, whereas the wireless clients are being managed through the access points on that side. So this version uses the 600p, which is powering the cameras and the access points, and then a DMS 1016 switch to manage all of the other devices, the static desktops in the office, the server and the printers.
So you can sort of see from what we showed earlier with the switches and also with the business routers, you do have the ability to pick and mix between the devices, and they do complement each other. So I mentioned earlier that because if you did start with the DVR 600p with the PoE capabilities, and then later on decide to expand your network to include more wired devices such as computers, printers, and servers, you easily add a non-PoE unmanaged switch to free up the ports. That then gives you ability to then increase the number of access points or cameras to your network. And I think to roll on to the next slide is that I wouldn't see Alan wouldn't show in this particular case is
bigger office.
Yeah, in this particular case is you can sort of flip it around, whereby the business router is a non-PoE version, the DBR 700.
Yep.
That gives you the ability to then add the DMS 108p to each of the 2.5 gig ports to give you, I think up to 7 additional PoE ports to add cameras and access points to, but at the same time, free up some Ethernet ports to allow you to expand through additional online switches.
I think the main message though that we want to tell people is the solution is scalable.
Yep.
And is designed for the small office, so we can get the 10 and 15 access points added towards the on the DBR 600 and 700 products respectively. We can get a small office the connectivity that they need via Wi-Fi. You can still have the ability to power other devices, whether it be CCTV cameras or IP phones. And then using some of the other unmanaged switches, you can still get the other devices within your environment. So things like your printers, things like your desktops connected, and it can scale up. But again, if there is questions on topology, or if you guys have questions around what you think is the right product for us, myself and the wider sales team here are more than happy to help you. and to sort of understand what you're trying to do. So please reach out to us, and we're quite happy to help.
Just
Perfect.
lastly, to add maybe to the diagram here, since it's on screen, you can see that in this case, the business that the DBR 700 is acting as a VPN client to connect to the head office. You know, instead of I think previous slides would have been showing the DBR device as a VPN server that you can connect remotely from our side.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, that's about everything that we've got. So short and sweet today. Just coming in just under 40 minutes there. So well done, guys. We've not managed to waffle for so long today. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I will catch up with the people who have won the competition. I'll get in contact with you, organise the delivery of the Duff 901s to yourself. Hope you love your USB 4 super speed. Tell us how much you love them once you get them. That'd be great. As usual, get in touch with us. So eu.dlink.com is our website, www.dlink.com. However you are, just make sure that you're on the UK version of the website, because you might end up on the global website, so you'll see some stuff that we don't sell in the UK. Yeah, so have a look on there, contact, get some more details. There's a lovely section on the business routers on there. UKI-sales@dlink.com, as Mark mentioned. If you don't want to hit us up on LinkedIn with those addresses that we provided earlier, we're available on there. You can email everyone in the team, UKI-sales@dlink.com. That's usually the quickest way of getting through to us. So
and I would just want to have the last word, just to
you can never have the last word.
I have the last word. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So all the products that we showed in the webinar today are already available.
They should already be available from all good bookshops and even some bad ones out there. So as we know, I have them all available on Amazon. Mark probably has them all available with his e-tail clients. So they're all out there ready to go, ready to be purchased. So yeah, all that remains, because Phil is never getting the last word, is for me to say thank you for joining in. Look out in the next few weeks. We'll be talking about the next webinar, which we're going to be doing on our new industrial range. And believe it or not, you won't have to put up with myself. Because I'll be away, so somebody else will be stepping in and doing all of the waffle that I normally provide. So thanks very much for joining, and we'll see you all next time.